the lady in tennis shoes. She claimed she has some apocryphal story about a male politician saying to her, "You can't make a difference. You're just a lady, a mother," I think it was, in tennis shoes. We never get the name of this politician. Look, you've all met politicians, but they are not in the habit of insulting their constituents. But just to round it out, to get to the climactic moment of Patty Murray's illustrious career. After 9/11, normally the Democrats keep her locked in her office, but in the confusion after 9/11, someone lost the keys, she got out, she got to a microphone bank and said the reason people love Osama bin Laden is because he's out there, he's building nursery care, he's building daycare centers. Osama bin Laden? What is it, like take your daughter to work day under Osama bin? She seems to have no idea what Islamic fanaticism is. Yeah, that was the woman who just hoodwinked Paul Ryan.
Any other questions? Come on up here. Yeah. What's your name?
John.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
This coalition you guys are putting together next year, I couldn't even tell you how excited I am for the country. And I can't hear enough about it. You got Levin. You've hinted at Rush. You were on Sean's show with Levin.
That's right. I had to remind them that I'm part of it. I don't know if you remember that part of the interview. They're talking about how they're going to have this big blowout. I'm sitting there, the three of us, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and me.
Boy.
Yeah, and we're going to get Levin and me. And I'm saying, yeah, and they literally said to me, who? And it wasn't a joke. Anyway.
She's invited. Jeez.
No, I am leading the Republican position on immigration. Because really, I mean, I think Republicans are good, basically good on most issues, and when they're bad, it's a matter of getting reelected. With immigration, it's exactly the reverse. That's where politicians are going against the vast majority of the American people. I've never seen an elite American person divide as strong as on immigration, and not just amnesty, not just the border, legal immigration. How about we get fewer Chechnyan terrorists blowing up the Boston Marathon and more Danish surgeons? But no, we don't have room for Danish surgeons because we're letting in, pushcart operators from Pakistan. No other country operates this way. Try calling up some other country's embassy and saying, hello, India. I'd like to come to your country. I don't have any skills. I have no money. And by the way, if I can't make it in your economy, would you mind cutting me a check once a month? Not so fast, Skippy. You're not coming here.
All right, he wants to ask a question. Go ahead.
It sounds like you're elaborating, hinting at what's going on. You're taking.
No, that's my personal.
Okay,
ask me about the weather, and I'll talk about
Sean
immigration.
Sean would take on healthcare, and would take on immigration.
No, what I want to do is I feel.
Thank you.
And thank you. Yeah, I feel that the Republican Party, if you ask most people what the Republican Party stands for, they do not have an agenda that anybody can articulate. And I think if you look at the two most successful moments for the conservative movement, I'm a registered conservative, Ann's a conservative. Reagan was articulate, passionate, had an agenda that was conservative. He advanced the country, we're better off. Newt Gingrich, contract with America. They literally gave people something tangible they could hold and read, and promises that will be kept. Right now it's time for an agenda that's going to deal with energy, an agenda that will deal with immigration, and I like Connie Mac's penny plan to balance the budget. Any of you, if you're in debt, and I told you you could be having a balanced budget in 5 years, you cut 1 penny of spending out of every dollar, everybody would do it. People understand that plan. It would work. It's functional. It eliminates the growth in government every year. So all of those things and more. And the idea is, if anybody wants our support, they are going to have to support a significant portion of that agenda publicly, or else I'm not going to endorse them just because they have an R in front of their name.
Yeah, no, I like that, and part of what I think made Reagan so great, I was just watching, they keep replaying it over and over on Turner Classic Movies, the segment he did with Johnny Carson right after he left the governorship.
We aired it, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun, and look, there are different issues now. You can't say the exact same things Reagan was saying, which unfortunately some of our drippier Republicans do. You can't just go out and say, I'm optimistic. No, he was changing people's minds. The jokes he made about government being the problem, not the solution, that was a new idea back then. I think we do get a lot of that from people like Ted Cruz, but I think the true key to Reagan's greatness was doing things like this. It was those GE tours. He met Americans, he understood Americans, he trusted Americans, and he could speak to them to the heart. There is something about these politicians. They spend so much time fundraising with the Republican plutocrats and the deep-pocketed conservatives. They get to Washington, drink the water, and suddenly they go from anti-amnesty to pro-amnesty. You really need to spend time meeting the people, which I think Ted Cruz is doing, by the way.
Well, let me just a quick poll. If you had to pick today, who would be the person you would want to support for president as a Republican?
Ted Cruz.
All right, let's go. Ted Cruz. All right, Rand Paul. Marco Rubio. Wow.
Go, Ted!
Chris Christie.
I used to be the only hand that would go up in this room, and once he sold us out on amnesty, I'm out.
Yeah. By the way, do you know how she and I had a huge fight on TV about that? Remember that?
Well, a huge fight.
Yeah,
Every time I went on, we could be talking about global warming. You'd bring up Chris Christie.
No. That's right. Here. What's your name?
I'm Mark, John. How are you?
How are you?
Listen, I want to thank both of you. I think I probably speak for everybody here for giving us an alternative to the mainstream press. The mainstream press now.
Hang on. We're back.
Anyway, you guys do a great job, and I think I speak for everybody in that. I want you guys to spend a quick second and give us a feel for how you see the U.S. Congress going forward now that Obama has just hired John Podesta with the stated goal of circumventing Congress and the Constitution. What the heck do they do? How do we deal with that?
I would not be worried about Podesta. I think that shows that Obama is worried. His poll numbers are dropping like a rock. Generally, we ask a question and back away.
Well, keep in mind, I'm going to back away in a second.
I was kind of in the middle of my answer.
Contextual, and keep in mind that we now have Podesta in place after the nuclear option, so I would go along with you and say they're really worried, but they're putting a plan in place to circumvent everything in that process.
Okay, end of the question now. You may not take that back. Yeah, the nuclear option is bad for a whole host of reasons. Republicans will have it when they take Congress. The most important issue is winning back Congress, especially next year, because it could be, look, if Texas ever goes Democrat, Republicans will not win another presidential election. Is that the end of America? Perhaps not. We seem to be doing better in statewide elections. If we could win a huge veto-proof majority in the Senate next year, we don't have to worry about 2016. You don't have to worry if it ends up being Chris Christie, and it might be Chris Christie because Republican primary voters are not activists like you people. They gave us John McCain. Remember that? It could just be a question of name recognition. We don't have to worry about it being Chris Christie if Republicans have control of the House and the Senate. I'm more worried about Republicans being hoodwinked into blowing elections next year. For example, Mitch McConnell with this fake Soros-backed Tea Partier running against him, Corker in Mississippi. I mean, and I'm sorry, I love her, but Liz Cheney in Wyoming. We don't have time to spend one penny fighting for a safe Republican seat. Any penny spent on fighting for a seat that's already a safe Republican seat is a penny that is not being spent to defeat Al Franken, Mark Pryor, Mary Landrieu, Mark Begich, taking Montana, West Virginia. This is a good shot we have because there are a lot of red states with Democratic senators up next year, plus everyone hates Obamacare. If Republicans blow this, there really is no point to fighting anymore.
Yeah, the only thing I would a slight disagreement, because I want to win the elections as Ann does, but I don't want to elect the Democratic Party light, because you know, I just pointed out earlier, some of you in the back may not have heard, we've got now 18 trillion in debt headed at 25, 90 trillion in unfunded liabilities, 50 million Americans now that are on food stamps and in poverty, 1 in 6 Americans in poverty, and if we don't create jobs, get the economy going, if we don't become energy independent, we're going to be dragged back into the Middle East. There's certain things we need to do, and I want people, the reason I disagree with you about Liz will do those things, and I am not convinced. I want the most electable, most conservative person that we can find. And if we don't get strong vision, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Mike Lee senators, I think we're going to be in trouble. I want people with a bolder agenda. That's,
The reason I can't really fight you on Liz Cheney is the whole reason you and I are here right now is because you are so loyal to your friends. And I know perfectly well that you are just saying that because you are being
I am
loyal
not.
to
She
Liz
is a
Cheney.
fierce Tea Party conservative, and she will stand with Ted, and she will stand with Mike, and she'll stand with Rand.
Mike Enzi is the 5th most conservative senator.
Jim DeMint.
I don't
Yeah,
trust
he's a
him.
great guy.
I think he's been won over. I think he's been paid off by Soros.
No.
I don't trust
Oh,
him.
stop. All right, next question. Yes. Even though he has a St. Louis hat on, we'll let him ask a question.
Only 11 only 11 World Series times. We won't go there. Could have been 12.
You want A-Rod? You can have him.
Right about that. Merry Christmas to both of you.
Merry
And
Christmas.
you guys are both great Americans, and I listen 3 hours almost every day. Thank you very much. I enjoy what you guys are doing. Now, what I'm seeing with a lot of these issues in this country, I'm over 50, so I'm in that group. I grew up in an ag background, with good Christian values and things like this. I see the breakdown of the family as being a big issue. When I talk to my liberal friends, I see the sky as blue, they see it as a bread.
Yeah.
And when you come to these Christian doctrines that we have, these principles that we believe in, there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah.
So how do you convince, these kind of people with this kind of upbringing, this kind of mentality, that the sky is blue?
Right.
There are Christian values, we need to be respected. And we're constantly under attack. And I think those are really undermining factors that are bringing these commies, I call them, into power.
Right.
They're taking away all of our rights and privileges. Once this healthcare thing doesn't get repealed, they're going to go after our properties next. It's
Right.
just going to keep coming and coming. But again, I'm very concerned about the value system.
Yes.
And how can we convince, I know the scriptures say, plant a seed, God will, make it grow.
Right.
But you got some ground that's not very fertile. So that makes
No,
it
you're
really challenging
right.
for us.
I write about, you're totally right with the family, and I write about the problem with single motherhood in my book, Guilty. It's just devastating. I'll just give you one fact about that. If you take out the factor of single motherhood, the difference in black and white crime rates disappears. Basically, all social problems are a problem of single motherhood, and it's cruel what liberals, both through the media and through government programs, are doing to poor people struggling, trying to come up. Why are you lying to them and telling them that it doesn't make a difference if you have a child out of wedlock? That's a lie. Why are you hiding it from people? It's like hiding from people what the truth of the scripture is and saying, no, homosexuality could be okay. Jesus may not condemn adultery or prostitution. Maybe he was kind of, open-minded about that. And as for what Christians can do, when I was at Cornell, one of the most important lessons I learned, and it's just been borne out over and over again, and boy, you have it in spades. He had us go around, it was Rome of the Caesars, and he had us go around the seminar and say what the most important quality was in another human. We picked all different qualities. And he said, we were all wrong. The most important quality is courage, because if you don't have courage, none of those other values matter. And that's what I see with a lot of the people on our side. They want to be liked, whether it's by the host sitting there, whether it's by not being viciously attacked the way poor Phil Robertson is. I have been endlessly. Sean can't be because he is perfect. The Boy Scout does not get attacked. But a lot of people don't like that.
I spent half my life defending her.
I do keep you busy.
She keeps me
We
busy.
have our next question.
Okay. I'm sorry.
One question.
One question per question.
Sorry.
That's
all right.
technically violating the rules.
Yeah. Hi. Come on. How are you? What's your name?
Carla,
Hi, Carla. Speak up. Nice and loud. We want to hear you.
thank you for taking my question. That sounds really weird, my voice on the microphone. I'm nervous. It's like on Jeopardy.
I'll give you a hug. Let's give her some support. Yay.
They're going to get her really nervous, Sean.
Yeah. With the demographics of the U.S. changing, do you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle, and the fact that what values you hold dear might not necessarily be related with the majority of the American people anymore?
It's terrifying. That's why immigration is the single most important issue, and that is the single most important question. We were just talking about this on the way up. Liberals did not win the argument. It's not as if they persuaded Americans that big government is going to be great and high taxes are going to be great. They changed the American population. It's like having a bottle of wine and pouring vinegar in it. The wine didn't go bad. You poured vinegar in it. They didn't win a contest of ideas. They changed the people. Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act flipped our normal immigration laws, and I'm talking about legal immigration, instead of bringing in the people who had founded the country, built the country, were here in the country, had cultural traditions in the country. No more Western Europeans. 90% of our immigrants, legal immigrants since 1965, have come from the third world. The vast majority of them go on welfare. Well, that's an automatic Democratic voter. And contrary to what liberals will tell you about a majority of Hispanic immigrants, they're not the same as blacks. I love how liberals, they think they're so like down with the brothers. No, you think Hispanics and blacks are exactly the same. It actually is true that most African Americans share our cultural values on the social issues. That actually isn't true, according to Pew, according to Gallup, of Hispanic voters. And if that isn't stopped, it is over. There is nothing we can do.
Well, that's it.
Well, can I just add one thing?
I think there's still time. I think we're right at the tipping point. Maybe we're over it, but we're Christians. We gotta fight. We're gonna keep
There's
fighting
one thing I want to add to
country.
this, though, and this goes back to, where's my St. Louis friend? When you look at the numbers of people, for example, unemployment rate for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, way out of sync with the rest of the country. When you go to a neighborhood and 50% of black teenagers, because of horrible economic policies, can't get a summer job. I don't know about all of you, but a summer job kept me out of trouble every summer of my life. This adds to the value equation, because if you're not at a job, that means you're on the streets. And if you're on the streets, that means you're hanging out with your friends that are probably giving you bad advice and are a bad influence. The single best thing, and I said this after Obama was elected, the country is going to come a-calling for conservative answers. That moment of truth has arrived. And if we offer an alternative where people will work, people have opportunity, they see that I watch HGTV, they see that they can get a house and fix it up and buy a nice car and send their kids to good schools, that will win over anybody, because I think it's natural for everybody to want a better life for their kids, their grandkids, and what that means a job, that means a piece of the American dream, and that means a path to success. So economics is, intertwined with all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I want the Republican Party to come in and be conservative and save the economy and stop robbing our kids blind. Period.
Amen.
If you get to her, apparently she has an in. What's your name?
I'm Virginia, and we've met before, but maybe you don't remember.